The Secret of Maple Hill. Emily Parker didn't want to leave her old home. She had friends there, a favorite cafe, a soccer team, and her best friend Julia, who always made her laugh. But life doesn't always go the way we want. Her mother got a new job in a small town called Maple Hill, and everything changed. Maple Hill was quiet and green. The streets were clean, the houses had big gardens, and everyone smiled politely. But for Emily, it didn't feel like home. On the first day at Maple Hill High School, Emily was nervous. She wore her favorite blue sweater, hoping it would bring her luck. As she walked through the busy halls, students looked at her curiously, but no one said anything until she entered her English class. A tall girl with curly brown hair smiled and waved. "Hey, you must be new here. I'm Zoe. Come sit with me." Emily smiled, relieved. "Thanks. I'm Emily." Zoe talked a lot, but in a kind, funny way. She told Emily all about the school, what teachers were nice, what food to avoid in the cafeteria, and where to sit during lunch. Then Zoe mentioned something strange. There's an old house near the edge of town. People call it the Willow House. It's been empty for years. "Why?" Emily asked. "Some say it's haunted," Zoe said in a spooky voice. "Others say something bad happened there. Nobody really knows." Emily laughed. "Sounds like a story people tell for fun." "Maybe," Zoe said, "but maybe not." Emily slowly started to enjoy school. People were kind, and Zoe introduced her to her two closest friends, Liam, a quiet boy who loved drawing, and Sarah, a clever girl who enjoyed reading mystery novels. One sunny Saturday, the four friends met at the town park. They talked about music classes and funny things that happened during the week. Then Zoe brought up the Willow House again. "I still think we should check it out," she said. Liam shook his head. "You just want to scare us." "No," Zoe said. "I'm serious. The house has a history." Sarah added, "There's a story that a man moved there to write a book, and he disappeared. Some say he found treasure. Others say the house took him." Emily listened carefully. "Do people really believe that?" Zoe shrugged. "Maybe, but what if we go there and find out ourselves?" "I don't know," Emily said. "Sounds risky." "It's just an empty house," Zoe insisted. "We won't break anything. Just look around. 1 hour, tops." Emily looked at Liam and Sarah. Sarah looked unsure, but Liam finally said, "All right, let's go next Friday night." Friday night came, and the group met at Zoe's house. They brought flashlights, jackets, and snacks. Emily felt nervous, but also excited. She had never done something like this before. They walked to the edge of town where the Willow House stood behind a line of trees. It was bigger than Emily expected. The roof was broken in places. Windows were dirty, and the wood was gray from age. "Wow," Liam said. "Creepy." Zoe smiled. "Perfect." They pushed open the old gate. It squeaked loudly. The front door was half open, like someone had just gone inside. Emily whispered, "Are we sure about this?" Zoe stepped in first. "Come on, just a quick look." Inside, the house smelled of dust and old books. The floor creaked with every step. Old chairs and tables stood quietly, like waiting for people who never returned. On the walls, faded paintings showed serious faces staring at them. They explored room by room. One room had broken furniture and a fireplace. Another was filled with books and papers. But the most interesting room was the study. In the center was a big wooden desk. On it, a notebook lay open. Emily read the first line. "The key is underfloor. Truth waits in silence." "What does that mean?" she asked. They looked under the desk. One of the floorboards looked loose. Liam knelt and pulled it up. Underneath, wrapped in an old cloth, was a small iron key. Zoe's eyes lit up. Now this is getting good. The group searched the house, trying to find what the key might open. Finally, behind a large painting in the upstairs hallway, they discovered a locked door. "This is it," Liam said. He put the key in the lock. It turned with a click. Behind the door was a narrow staircase going down into the dark. "Should we go down there?" Sarah asked. "Maybe this is too much." Emily took a deep breath. "We've come this far. They walked carefully down the stairs, one by one. At the bottom was a small basement. Shelves lined the walls. Boxes covered in dust sat quietly. Emily walked to a desk in the corner. A candle, old papers, and a letter were on top. She read it out loud. To whoever finds this, my name is Thomas Gray. I lived here for 5 months. I found something in this house. Something old and full of anger. It watches. It listens. If you hear whispers, leave immediately. A chill went through the room. Then they heard it. A whisper. It started soft, like wind moving through trees. But there was no wind. They were in a basement. The whisper grew louder. It wasn't a voice. It was many voices, speaking together in a strange, fast way. Emily stepped back. We should go. They turned to run, but the staircase door slammed shut. Sarah screamed. What's happening? Zoe pushed the door. It didn't open. The whisper got closer. Emily closed her eyes and said loudly, We're not here to hurt anything. We just wanted to know. The whisper stopped. Silence. Then, slowly, the door opened by itself. They didn't wait. They ran up the stairs, through the house, and out the front door. Only when they were standing under the stars did they feel safe again. No one said anything for a long time. The next day, Emily couldn't stop thinking about what happened. She went to the town library to learn more. She looked up Thomas Gray. He was a real writer. He moved to Maple Hill in 2013 and disappeared in 2014. Police found no evidence, just some strange notes and empty rooms. She also found a book about the Willow House. It was built in 1890 by a woman named Eleanor Finch. She was known to be strange. She never married, rarely left her house, and talked about voices in the walls. The book included a photo of Eleanor. Her eyes were sharp and dark. Emily flipped the photo over. On the back, it said, she never truly left. Emily told Zoe everything. Liam and Sarah didn't want to go back. But Emily felt like she had to. I need to understand what happened to Thomas Gray, she said. There's something we missed. Zoe finally agreed. One last time. But we're not staying long. They returned to the Willow House the next evening. It was quieter than before. Emily brought a notebook, pen, and her phone to take pictures. Back in the basement, Emily opened the old boxes. Inside were letters, pictures, and a small leather diary. It belonged to Eleanor Finch. She read aloud. The voice came again last night. It says it needs a body. It wants a writer. It wants someone to speak for it. Emily turned to the last page. Thomas said no. The house was angry. He didn't listen. Now he is part of it. The walls speak with his voice. Zoe whispered, You think the house trapped him? I think the house is alive. Suddenly, the whisper returned. This time louder, clearer. A shadow moved across the wall. Emily said, We're not afraid. We want to listen. The whisper paused. Then a sentence came, spoken slowly in the voice of a man. She lied. I tried to leave. Emily turned on her phone and recorded. The voice continued. The house feeds on fear, on silence, on secrets. You broke the silence. Now you must tell the truth. Zoe whispered, What truth? Another voice joined, the voice of Eleanor. The house is mine. It lives through me. You don't belong. The walls shook. Emily shouted, You trapped him. That's not truth. That's cruelty. Everything stopped. Then the door opened. Slowly, softly. Back home, Emily listened to the recording. The voices were gone, just wind. She printed Eleanor's diary and the letter from Thomas Gray. She gave them to the town librarian, who shared them with the Historical Society. A week later, the town decided to close the house permanently and put up a sign that said, Historical property. Do not enter. Emily felt lighter, like something had ended. She, Zoe, Liam, and Sarah grew closer. They still talked about the house, sometimes, but never with fear, only with wonder. And Emily wrote everything down. Maybe she would write a book one day. Months passed. Maple Hill felt like home now. Emily joined the school newspaper. She wrote stories, interviews, and poems. She smiled more, laughed more, and didn't feel like a stranger anymore. One afternoon, she walked past the Willow House. It stood quiet, empty still. She whispered, "You can't have me." The wind answered with silence. But she smiled anyway, because now she had a voice, and she wasn't afraid to use it. The end.